far away in the west coast of USA at the prestigious University of Berkeley, it was a moment of reckoning for Rahul Gandhi, the Congress Vice President, whose party slid to just 44 Lok Sabha seats today, acknowledged that a certain arrogance had crept into the Congress and took responsibility for losing the opportunity between 2012 and 2014. While attacking the Prime Minister, Rahul Gandhi asserted that the BJP borrowed its schemes from the Congress, which ironically stopped working a long time back. Asked about dynasty politics in India, Rahul Gandhi said not to single him out and justified himself by saying that dynasty politics was a regular norm in this country. We getting you the direct face-off on the speech and the political implications. I'm Supriya Srinath on the India Development Debate, the big face-off here. Joining us on the show this evening, Manish Tiwari of the Congress Party and Nalan Kohli of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us. We do not want this to be a shouting match, which is why we've kept it restricted to just two of you. We want this to be a mature discussion because I think that speech leaves a lot wanting and also delivers a lot. Manish Tiwari, I have a direct question for you. This speech, unlike his previous speeches that he's done recently, is obviously getting a lot of traction. Is he making an attempt to shift the narrative? Is there an alternate development model that Rahul Gandhi or the Congress Party is ready to offer?
Well, Supriya, if you peruse the speech in its entirety, I think Mr. Gandhi makes some very important points. And the first thing that he emphasizes is there can be no development if there is social disharmony. One of the conditions precedent for development is that there should be social harmony in the country. Donald Rumsfeld, who is not everybody's favorite person to quote, had once very famously remarked that money is a coward and money goes to the safest destination. And if you have social turmoil, if you have internal decohesion, then obviously it acts as a detriment to investment. And that's why you've seen that 2017 has turned out to be the year in which the lowest investment has been made by domestic Indian corporates ever since 1991. The second important thing which he emphasized, which is worth taking note of, is the emphasis on non-violence, is the emphasis on discussion. And that's absolutely contextualized in the context of what happened with the unfortunate assassination of Gauri Lankesh and the general culture of intolerance that you've seen envelope this country over the past 3 years. And number three, what he very clearly put forth is that, look, we want to create an economy, which we did between 2004 and 2014, which works for 99% of this country and doesn't work only for the top 1%. So I think in all, it was a very lucid exposition of developments as they've played out over the past 3 years. And especially, I think he reserved his finest comments for the great disaster, the great self-inflicted wound called demonetization.
Right. Okay. Manish Tiwari, hold your thoughts there. You've given your opening remarks, but before I go on to the specifics of the speech, and I promise I'm going to slam both the Congress and the BJP and I'll do a good job of it. But Nalan Kohli, I'll ask you this question. You know, a lot of people in the BJP are very dismissive about this speech. My only question is, why are 6 ministers and an INB minister holding a press conference when the speech is so inconsequential? It doesn't explain the equation to me.
No, I think it is because it's on foreign soil and running down India in a very lucid manner, picking the adjective from what Manish has used. Then certainly it does call for people to come back with a structured response. And in any case, in a media age, it's not as if there's a big plan everybody got together. The cameras go to everyone. If we speak, then you all say that all of you all are reacting to something inconsequential. And if people avoid it, you'll say you're scared to avoid it. It can't be a both-way argument. But let's come back to Mr. Rahul Gandhi's so-called lucid speech. I think it's a fascinating speech, and we must compliment Mr. Rahul Gandhi for many things. The classic self-goal of running down the world's largest democracy, in which a man who could sell tea and comes from poverty has worked his way to become the Prime Minister, as most of the cabinet is not there for being born into a particular family, as the politics of entitlement that Mr. Rahul Gandhi belongs to, being a member of the Nehru Gandhi family. That's reservation by birth. We saw that among the kings. We see it in the new dynasts. Mr. Gandhi is standing for it and coming for on the soil of the world's oldest democracy, speaking about the world's biggest democracy. I think it made a very lucid comment on where his thinking lies. The second part is a spurious argument of picking up an extreme point of view, which no less than everyone in the BJP, the Prime Minister also, has on multiple occasions run down this violence that we see, which is not representative of mainstream India. But perhaps for Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who goes to JNU and will stand with Afzal hum sharminda hai, tere qatil zinda hai kind of comments, that that does not represent the mainstream. Let's go back to the economy or everything. It doesn't take rocket science to open bank accounts for the poorest of the poor. 40 years they couldn't open it.
Right.
And if we talk about the 2004 to 14, that is the period in which India's mega scams took place. All the investigations today on black money, shell companies, 3 lakh shell companies created only between 2006 and 2012, the peak of the UPA Congress and the peak of all the scams. So Mr. Rahul Gandhi has much to worry about demonetization, which is the final nail in the coffin in terms of the fight against black money and making sure that honest Indians are rewarded for being honest. So we have no problem with his agenda.
Okay.
My final comment, before you can take it to specifics, that for us, it's a matter of some satisfaction that after getting no endorsement from the people and the voters of India, Mr. Rahul Gandhi on his global travels has chosen to somehow seek some endorsement on a foreign land before a foreign audience. We don't have no political problem with that. He can continue doing so. There are 195 countries with many more universities for such views.
Talking about foreign travel, I don't think there's enough to be the Prime Minister there. I'm sure the Congress will come back on that. But the Congress party has to be attacked on one thing, Manish Tiwari, whether you like it or not.
For work.
Dynasty. I will ask you. No, one second. It's far too many countries. There's enough to be done in India. But Manish Tiwari, it's time to slam the Congress. I've slammed the BJP enough. And while you may believe that our cameras were going around, the fact that RG in US was trending in one point in time and RG insults India and US was trending at the other talks a lot about both parties and both your media arms being active. But Manish Tiwari, dynasty politics is a norm in India. Is that an answer that Rahul Gandhi could come up with? I mean, I'll tell you something on national television. If I was asked for being a dynast, I would say you can't fault me for my genes. I was born into a family. Politics is my vocation. I like doing what I'm doing. I wouldn't say dynasty is a norm in India. I mean, isn't that an embarrassing statement to begin with?
Well, before I respond to what you say, Supriya, let me make 3 quick points in response to my good friend Mr. Nalin Kohli. Number one, the BJP is getting very antsy today, but they should recall a very, very old proverb that when you sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. And this is precisely what the Prime Minister did in the past 3 years when he went from foreign capital to foreign capital, not only rubbishing India, but running down the principal opposition party, running down his opponents on foreign soil. He broke the tradition which had been in place for 70 years, whereby you leave your domestic conflicts back home. So therefore, the BJP has no one to blame if they are today getting bashed in the United States of America or anywhere else. And number two, coming to Jawaharlal Nehru University, which Mr. Nalin Kohli and his fellow spokespersons, really love quoting, the ABVP just got bashed in the JNU elections. If their narrative had so much of traction,
answer my question on being a dynast.
They would have got a few more votes than they possibly did in. Coming to dynasty, what he said is a reality. Who is Mr. Dhumal's son? Is he not a dynast? Is the Chief Minister of Rajasthan's son not a third-term member of Parliament? Is that not a dynasty? If you look around South Asia, what about Benazir Bhutto? What about the Bhandara Naikes? What about what about Sheikh Hasina?
Manish,
and don't you have dynasties in India? Hang on, let me complete. What about dynasties in the media? If you look at the entire media landscape of this country, the entire media landscape is dominated by dynasties. Look at the film industry, look at the legal profession, look at architecture.
But that's not a good thing, Manish Tiwari. That's also my point. Manish Tiwari,
South Asia is a feudal society. Number two, there is a new dynasty which is emerging in this country, and that is the Modi Shah dynasty. That is the latest manifestation of
No.
dynastic politics in
Manish
India.
Tiwari, no. I am not going to let you get away with
I
it
won't
simply
like to
because
come in.
we support meritocracy. I will let you come in. But you know, I think the point that we're missing is that dynasties exist. They should not exist. There should be meritocracy is what we are trying to establish here. Nalin Kohli, I'll give you 30 seconds before I move on to my next point very quickly.
That's the most innovative argument on the propagation of dynasty. I mean, let me just point out, Mr. Anurag Thakur or Mr. Dushyant Singh are not reserved to be at the top spot anywhere because they were born into a family. So they are there because they will earn their place. Sure, a son of a doctor may become a doctor, but based on merit. He's not going to be there only because he's the son of a doctor.
Okay.
So I think Mr. Manish Tiwari has continued helping Mr. Rahul Gandhi's classic self-goal with some more self-goals. We have no fight or complaint with that.
Okay.
And how is Mr. Shah and Mr. Modi a dynast? That is the most unique, almost silly example that you can come up. Neither of them come from any particular political family. Their families had nothing to do with politics. One sold tea. The son of a tea seller becomes the Prime Minister of India, and it's dynastic politics. By Mr. Modi, by Mr. Tiwari's argument, Mr. Modi should be selling only tea and should not have contested the elections.
No, 1 second. I get both your arguments.
Well, I mean,
I'm not wasting any more time on dynasty because
a fact is a fact. You may like it.
No. I am sorry.
Has been elected in the same manner as Mr. Dhumal's son has been elected to parliament.
Okay.
Mr. Rahul Gandhi has been elected in the same manner, Mr. Nalin Kohli.
Yeah, but he's not reserved to be the president of the Congress party,
Raj's son has been elected to parliament. So before you start pointing fingers at anybody else, look within the number of dynasties that you have within the Bharatiya Janata Party. And if Mr. Rahul Gandhi stated a fact,
unfortunately, this is my show. And I am going to move on to my next topic. Manish Tiwari and Nalin Kohli, fortunately or unfortunately, this is my show and I'm moving on to my next topic, whether you choose to answer this or not. Nalin Kohli, this is coming your way. The Congress Vice President says that the Congress arrogance crept in the vision laid out in 2004 was not relevant in 2012. It's perhaps being candid. He also says the central architecture of all of your government policies are borrowed from the Congress. We know they are not working because they stopped working a long time back. Is that what explains jobless growth in this country? You are building on the model of what the Congress left behind. Why did you turn left of center? You were supposed to be a free market economic thinking party. What happened? Nalin Kohli.
Okay, let's go one by one. On the first comment with regard to the Congress party's arrogance, that candor and that is an honest comment. It's a comment on the term of Sonia Gandhi ji as the president of the Congress party when they were in government and they lost it. So if he wants to be candid about it, he can also find the correctives beginning at home. So that's also another argument of proving against dynastic politics or reservation by birth for the top slot. The second point is with regard to following the Congress party. You know, Supriya, that's a funny argument. Building roads, can it be anybody's prerogative? And say that this is my idea. Roads are being built ever since civilization decided to travel. And somebody has to build the roads. The Congress party didn't. In the last 30 years, let me finish. I'm coming to each one. I'm not running from anything. So in the Congress party finally in the Supreme Court in an affidavit said, in the last 30 years, 50% roads were built in NDA's 6 years of 1998 to 2004 under Mr. Vajpayee. So I mean, okay, the Congress also wanted to build roads, they didn't build roads. The same is true for anything. In economics, who is implementing? They nationalized the banks. Did they give accounts to the poor? But it took Mr. Modi only 2 years to give some 40 crore accounts, 30 crore accounts to the poorest of the poor.
How much of that is
Why couldn't they give the accounts? We thought about it in nationalization in 1971-72. So if the Congress decides to announce something, not implement it and go to sleep, and then the BJP comes and implements it and probably does a good job implementing it or improving it further, that is supposed to be some kind of copyright on the Congress.
Yeah,
that's no
I
argument.
Get you. Okay. Mr. Kohli, I get your point there. I think there is some soul searching that both parties need to do, and I think your party has to realize if you are indeed working on the architecture that the Congress did build, it knew it wasn't working, and which is why they were shunted out. I don't think you're smelling the coffee just yet. We're not creating enough jobs, and that's going to come back and bite you. But Manish Tiwari, let me ask you the counter question. Rahul Gandhi says there's decline in economic growth. There are no jobs being created. One second. No, let me finish. Upsurge and unrest is being witnessed in India. I'm wondering, where are we witnessing this upsurge? Because the BJP is winning one election after the other.
Supriya, an economy which grew at 7.8% on an average with 2004-2005 as the base
Where
year,
is the unrest?
despite the great economic meltdown, the Eurozone crisis and crude oil prices at almost $140 between 2008-2009 has been brought down to 3.7% in the last quarter at the 2004-2005 base year. Hey honey, I shrunk the economy. My greatest achievement in the last 38 months of my government has been that I shrunk an economy which grew on an...
Mr. Tiwari, where is the unrest? That's what I'm asking you.
Hello?
Okay, I think we've kind of lost Manish Tiwari there. We need to get back to him because this conversation has to be
lack of domestic investment rather than being a top-up.
Do I have Manish Tiwari back? I need to get Manish Tiwari.
Are you talking to me?
Okay. Mr. Tiwari, you can finish your point. I am asking you a question. Where is the unrest? I can hear you, Mr. Tiwari. Where is the unrest? I get your point on shrinking the economy. But where is the upsurge? Where is the unrest? I can't see any.
Let me explain the unrest. Let me explain the unrest to you. The unrest is there as the divergence and the dissonance between the discourse that you see in mainstream media and what is happening on the ground. There is tremendous amount of bloodletting which is taking place. Your demonetization has completely wiped out the informal sector. Your tardy implementation of the goods and service tax is wiping out the medium and the small scale sector, and therefore there is a pain on the ground, and you will see over the next 1 year how this manifests itself in street protests which this government will not be able to handle. Mark my words, when we have this debate next September, you will have people out in the streets protesting against the complete mismanagement of the Indian economy which these people have done in the last 38 months.
Okay, they may have done mismanagement. I think the electorate is at least winning them back, so I don't know if that argument still holds. But Nalin Kohli, I think the point that Rahul Gandhi made about Make in India is a valid point indeed. He says he supports Make in India, and it's a good thing that Make in India is happening. But it should not cater to just the top percentile of this country. It has to focus on MSMEs. And let me throw a number at you. A lack of investment in MSMEs creates 4 jobs. Why is the focus off MSMEs? That's my big point.
Okay, 2 things. One is about Mr. Manish Tiwari donning the role of a soothsayer or an astrologer and saying, mark his words, next September there will be protest. So that's the concept of the difference of how we approach it. We want development, we want harmony. The Congress is praying there is this harmony because on a positive agenda, Mr. Gandhi is not getting votes. And that's a fair argument. We are winning elections. So if by that logic, if we win the next elections and keep winning as we are currently, which we will strive to keep winning, the voters will decide, it's in their hands. So does that mean that Mr. Rahul Gandhi will take up a course at the University of California, Berkeley? Because after all in India, then this whole model doesn't work. And let's now come to your question on the MSME. On the MSME, I have a specific answer. How does, no, I'm not. I'm just giving an answer in the same vein. It's not about diluting it. It's just one way replying in the same vein. With regard to the MSME, let's take only one thing. On the Mudra scheme, some 7.5 crore people, that's 75 million people, have taken 3.5 lakh crores as part of the Mudra scheme. That's purely in the MSME sector. That's not big business. And if these people are taking it to set up their own businesses or expand their existing businesses, is this not an argument for helping the MSME sector? The figures are not out. Somebody in the middle comes up with a figure. Let's take the question of jobs that you keep bringing up. When the IT sector was hit with this whole thing of what was happening in the United States, everyone said jobs in India are suffering. Nobody spoke of startups. Nobody spoke of Mudra. Nobody talks of the big picture. Ultimately, all the figures will be out there. At the end of the tenure, Mr. Modi is on record to say, I will come with my report card and people will elect. If there is widespread dissatisfaction, nobody is going to vote back a government. But if there is satisfaction, we certainly expect a positive vote.
I get that point. 12 million people in India are joining the workforce every year. We are creating 1.4 lakh jobs. Remember, that's a ticking bomb, and I will hold both of you accountable to that. I'm going to quickly wrap this by asking two last questions to both of you. And Manish Tiwari, Rahul Gandhi admits Prime Minister is better at communication. He can give a message to 3 to 4 different groups in a crowd. Is this a left-handed compliment that he's giving to the Prime Minister, or does he realize he isn't a good communicator after all?
Well, Supriya, let me begin by saying that hubris is the worst enemy of people in power. And what we've seen over the last 38 months is the hubris of this government displayed repeatedly on national television by their spokespersons. And believe me, I'm being a soothsayer again, this arrogance is going to be their undoing. Insofar as the Prime Minister is concerned, if the Prime Minister believes in only one adage, and that is ki mera bhashan hi mera prasashan hai, all that I will do is shoot the breeze, all that I will do is wax eloquent and rhetorical, while there is no employment generation taking place in this country, while Kashmir is up a creek without a paddle, the Pakistan relationship has gone for a toss, the China relationship is fraught with tension, with the United States there is no big idea, the Maoists are rearing their head, there is trouble in Gorkha land, there is chaos in this country. Whether it is internal security, whether there's social harmony, whether there's economic development, whether there's international relations, whether it is even coming to Mr. Modi's favorite subject of federalism. This country, this government has demolished every institution in this country. This government has completely torpedoed the economy. It has played havoc with Kashmir and has completely mismanaged all India's international relations. If there is one example,
I will have to get
one example of success, at least I have not been able to find it.
Okay, Nalin Kohli, will let you have the last word on this, but I will ask you, and I will ask you this question.
Quickly,
is managing a headline, is clever communication an answer to some of these pressing issues?
Well, okay, Supriya, the first thing is for everything that Mr. Tiwari is saying, then hey, Mr. Rahul Gandhi should be taking a long vacation. He doesn't have to do anything at all, because the voters of India will then just boot us out. Because if everything is in such a major mess, let's pick up each one. Jammu and Kashmir, we thank Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru from the Nehru Gandhi family, first Prime Minister, for the mess that we are still suffering 70 years later. Let's take Pakistan. Congress leader Manish Shankar Ayyar says, "Inko hataiye, humko laiye." Appealing, we can't win the elections in India, but we would, expect your help to help us come back to power, remove the BJP. Let's also go next. Which country did Manish name?
Who went and did Jaffi Pappi with Nawaz Sharif, Mr. Nalin Kohli? It wasn't Manish Shankar Ayyar, it was Narendra Modi.
Can sit down and share their views about India, including what happened in Haryana with all the land deals. So it's okay. I know you are agitated, Manish. We are not. We will continue serving the people of India and leave it to them to decide. We don't need
this country is agitated. This country is angry with your arrogance. The difficulty is that you are not able to see it, and I hope you remain blinded for the next 14 months.
And Manish Tiwari, I'm sorry, I'm going to use my powers that are vested in me as an anchor and come into this discussion. I cannot carry this any longer. There's a speech that Rahul Gandhi has made in the University of Berkeley. I think the answer lies in how it was treated on social media. RG in US, RG in South India and US. That was how it was being promoted by both handles, both the Congress and the BJP. I think it tells you a thing or two about Indian polity right now. I do hope there is an opposition in India, because one, that's required, but I think we should not oppose for the sake of opposing is also what the Congress party needs to look into. But thank you very, very much, gentlemen. It's been a riveting discussion as always when we have the two of you on ET Now.